Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Laura Prada from the Telesur Studios in Caracas, Venezuela. We begin with the news. Stay with us. A devastating bomb blast ripped through 3 churches and several high-end hotels in Sri Lanka on Sunday, leaving at least 207 dead. More than 450 have been injured and 7 people have been arrested. Sri Lanka's defense minister said that the culprits were religious extremists and that suicide bombers were behind the detonations. The government has since declared a curfew of the capital, Colombo, and blocked access to the social media and messaging sites to prevent the spread of misinformation. This is the first major attack since the end of the civil war 10 years ago.
I heard the explosion and then the roof fell on us. We took the children and ran out the back door. But when I came to the hospital, I saw my brother-in-law and son on the ground.
Meanwhile, both the Prime Minister and the country's cardinal have pledged to find those involved in the devastating attack.
This is as a serious situation aimed at destabilizing the country and the economy. I strongly condemn this attack aimed at religious institutions and some hotels in the capital.
I also like to ask the government to hold a very impartial, strong inquiry and find out who is responsible behind this act, and also to punish them mercilessly, because only animals can behave like that.
According to officials, 27 of the victims were foreign nationals. Survivors have been receiving treatment at a hospital in Colombo, Sri Lanka, and security has been improved at the international airport. Now we move to Colombia, where at least 14 people have died in a landslide caused by heavy rains in the south of the country. Another 5 persons were injured and 30 remain missing. Authorities said the landslide occurred in the rural area of Fortachuelo, close to Colombia and Ecuador border. Residents of the area have reportedly been warned that a landslide could occur at any moment. Cleanup as well as search and rescue efforts are still going on. And over 7,000 people have been arrested by the overflow of three rivers in the department of Nariño. Firefighters and volunteers have been deployed in affected areas, and at least 10 neighborhoods were left underwater. According to authorities, no casualties have been reported. Now, the Venezuelan opposition and its allies in the U.S. government continue to set their sights on Venezuelan embassies and consular offices in clear violation of the Vienna Convention for Diplomatic Relations. One of the targeted embassies is in Washington, D.C. In an act of solidarity, activists projected images and messages onto the embassy. The face and iconic eyes of Commander Hugo Chavez could be seen, as well as a portrait of Simón Bolívar. So did a message reading, "No U.S. imperialism in Venezuela and end the sanctions now." And meanwhile, U.S. social movements and Venezuela solidarity activists have decided to collaborate to protect Venezuelan diplomatic sites. They are calling on their government to respect the Vienna Convention. A presentation held on Saturday at the Embassy of Washington, D.C. featured prominent anti-war and peace activists and journalists based in the U.S. Among those who spoke were Code Pink founder Medea Benjamin. She and others urged continued support for the embassy.
So if they manage to take over this embassy, then we could see a snowball effect where the other countries that recognize Guaido would feel pressured into giving over their embassies. And that's why this is so critical. You know, we are watching history right now. It's not oftentimes in your lives you can feel history in not even slow motion. It's quickly happening right now. And we have a chance to play a really critical role in that history. And it gives me chills just to talk about it and think about it, because we could save this embassy from being taken over.
And the Venezuelan government has repudiated the recent designation of the Islamic Revolution Guardian Corps as an international terrorist organization by U.S. government. And a statement released by Venezuela's government saying that apart from being an open violation of international law, this is an unilateral and interfering action is also aggravated by the application of a double standard in the area of the anti-terrorist struggle. This is an attempt to penalize an organization which is precisely known for its important contribution in the fight against terrorism. It goes on to say that the Iranian Revolution Guard Corps in fact work to fight, promote and strengthen the security and stability of the region. And communities across Venezuela have been celebrating Easter with the traditional burning of the Judas, where a life-size effigy of a person considered to be bad is burned. This year, Donald Trump and Juan Guaidó are among the more popular figures to set alight. Many of this year's effigies have anti-imperialist signs and slogans referring to Guaidó as a traitor to his homeland and calling Trump a violator of human rights. It is a family and even a neighborhood tradition, with this particular one burned at Plaza Sucre in Caracas. And another Trump Judas was burned with the help of a few explosives in the 23rd of January, 23 de enero neighborhood in Caracas. Ubuntu is a play that was recently presented at the Municipal Theater of Caracas. It's a performance which focuses on the various abilities of differently abled bodies. This happened during the International Theatre Festival here in Caracas.
The fears of this group of young people with disabilities are left behind. With the help of professional dancers, they make visible their different abilities on stage.
Ubuntu is more than an artistic work, more than a play. It's a space for reflection, for research, and more so than inclusion, for the celebration of those who have been hidden, those who don't represent the aesthetics which society has imposed as something beautiful.
This show contributes to the fight against ideological differences and to promote inclusion.
To discriminate, for me, is to not have a person with disabilities in your environment. You have fear of what's different. But I think once you find each other, that fear disappears, because we're all equal. We all have different skills, and our message is that we all can have opportunities, that we are all able to make anything.
These people praised the values of solidarity and teamwork through contemporary dance.
When we discriminate, we do damage to ourselves. We lock ourselves up into a box. Our message is to never stop being yourself. However, that may be to never stop fighting for what you want and to step outside our comfort zones.
A performance that promotes respect and breaks prejudices on disability has also been celebrated in international stages.
With these images, we go to a first break hearing from the South. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at Telesur English and my account at Laura Pitleser. Stay with us. And this Sunday marked the 49th anniversary of the state of the emergency, which was declared in Trinidad and Tobago during the Black Power Revolution in 1970. Mass mobilizations occurred across the country from February 26 to April 21st as East Indians and Africans united in protests. The movement began because Afro-Trinitarians wanted equal employment opportunities and more representation, as well as an end to the monopolization of businesses by white people. This movement marked the awakening of black consciousness on the island. One person died and over 550 people were arrested for their participation in the protests. The revolution was led by the National Joint Action Committee for a new and just society.
Revolution in the sense of you have to change the structure of power in the society. You have to change the oppression, the exploitation of people.
And we continue in the Caribbean. Jamaica's Prime Minister Andrew Holness said that the island is recovering from the brink of economic collapse. Holness was speaking at the Jamaica-Atlanta business meeting on Friday. He noted that Jamaica had a debt to GDP ratio of 142% of an IMF loan that required a primary surplus of 7.5%. He said that the debt to GDP ratio has been reduced to just over 100% and is expected to reach 60% in the coming years. Holness also noted that the island has recovered its lowest unemployment rate to date.
We have brought our unemployment rate from hovering 13 to 14%. I'm very pleased to report that we are now at 8%, the lowest ever in the recorded history of unemployment in the country.
A Jamaican author has been named as one of the Time magazine's 100 most influential people in the world. Marlon James was listed along with the likes of former U.S. First Lady Michelle Obama, golf legends Tiger Woods, and actor Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. James previously won the 2015 Man Booker Prize for his publication A Brief History of 7 Killings. He was hailed by Time as one of the most important voices of his literary generation, who speaks on issues of race, gay rights, and whatever else is on his mind. Now we go beyond Latin America's and Caribbean frontiers. A sea of protests warmed by the army headquarters in Khartoum as Sudan's military leader, Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, vowed to hand power over to the people. The demonstrators are awaiting the unveiling of a rival civilian council. This comes as al-Burhan said talks are underway to develop a joint military-civilian council, but the opposition has suspended all negotiations, calling for their demands to be met first. General al-Burhan has also pledged to respond to protesters' demands within a week.
First, the role of the military council is a supplementary role to the uprising and the blessed revolution. The council is committed to give power to the people.
Ongoing fighting in Ain Sahara, south of Libya's capital, have left the suburban town filled with rubble. On Sunday, powerful blasts believed to be caused by airstrike left buildings damaged and cars burned out in the streets. The Libyan National Army launched an attack to seize Tripoli on April 4th and has continued clashing with forces of the UN-recognized government. At least 227 people have been killed with over 1,000 wounded in the weeks-long violence. The president of Palestine, Mahmoud Abbas, has refused a so-called deal of the century with the United States. During an extraordinary Arab League meeting in Cairo, Egypt, the president said that U.S. does not have anything to offer to the Palestinian people. Abbas also denounced the presence of U.S. embassy in Jerusalem, recently acknowledged by U.S. President Donald Trump as the capital of Israel. He further affirmed the reliance of Palestinians on Arab states.
The question is, what is the deal of the century? After annexing Jerusalem and recognizing it as the capital of Israel, and transferring their embassy and attaching the U.S. consulate in Jerusalem, that has existed since the 19th century to the embassy. All this and the deal of the century did not come, so I wonder what remains to be offered or what is left for us to rejoice. They took Jerusalem and the occupied territories, gave legitimacy to the settlements, and canceled the refugees. So what remains for us? I say that they want to deceive us with what is left. There's nothing they can offer us.
At least 170 Israeli settlers entered the Holy Al-Aqsa Mosque in occupied Jerusalem, Al-Quds, breaking agreements signed by Israel and Jordan in 1994. The group entered the mosque while being escorted by heavily armed Israeli security forces, reportedly to celebrate a religious ceremony. Palestinians consider such an act a direct threat to the sovereignty of East Jerusalem, Al-Quds. The Al-Aqsa Mosque is the religious core of East Jerusalem and has been considered a holy site by Christianity, Judaism, and Islam for thousands of years. Time for a second and very short break. We'll be right back. And now we begin Beyond Our Frontiers. Comedian Volodymyr Zelensky has won a runoff election on Sunday to become Ukraine's next president. According to exit polls, Zelensky received over 70% of votes, while his opponent, Petro Poroshenko, received 25%. Poroshenko, who has been in power since 2014, conceded the election. Zelensky has no previous experience in politics, but gained popularity due to his anti-corruption talking points. The official results will be announced by May 21st.
We did it together. Thanks to everyone. Now there will be no pathetic speeches. I just want to say thank you.
Never give in. This is something that I also hear now when I see the results of the exit polls. They are obvious, and they give me the grounds to now call my opponent and congratulate him. To do it for the first time in our practice, to do it the way it's done in the civilized and democratic European countries.
And more than 30 million people were eligible to cast ballots in almost 200 electoral districts.
More than anything, I would like for the structure of our country to change. It is impossible to eliminate all corruption. It exists everywhere. But at least we have a candidate who, in principle, is ready to address this.
We want change. Right now there is tension. People are irritated. We want peace, freedom, and happiness.
And North Macedonians voted for a new president over this weekend. This is the first presidential election since the country changed its name after negotiations with Greece ended a decades-long identity dispute. Preliminary results point to Stevo Pendarovsky of the ruling FtS party leading the polls. These elections were reportedly marked by low participation.
I hope this election will be fair. I wish the best of luck to whoever wins. I don't know if enough people will vote. Maybe they are still asleep, but I think they are still going to vote.
Like all other citizens, I also went out to vote. It is my civic right to vote and to give my vote to whomever I choose.
And Christine Assange, the mother of the WikiLeaks co-founder Julian Assange, said her son is not allowed visitors in prison, not even with his lawyers present. Via social media, Christine Assange said her son is in need of medical attention. She added that British authorities have failed to hand over his belongings. We must remember that Julian Assange was arrested in the Ecuadorian embassy in London 2 weeks ago after the Ecuadorian government withdrew his asylum. And several Democratic leaders in the United States Congress said the possibility of impeaching Donald Trump is on the table following the release of the Mueller redact report. Though the special counsel team concluded there was no conspiracy between the Trump campaign and Russia, they also outlined in detail ways in which Trump had possibly sought to obstruct the investigation on Sunday. House Judiciary Committee Chairman Gerald Nadler commented on the matter.
Yeah, I do. I do think that this, if proven, which hasn't been proven yet, some of this, if proven, some of this would be impeachable, yes.
And the 5th edition of the Yalta Economic Forum came to an end in Russia this weekend. Among the topics discussed were the developing digital economies, the spread of fake news, and the trade and investment strategies in the face of illegal economic sanctions imposed by the United States and a number of countries. To know more about what happened on this meeting, we have the following story.
Entrepreneurs and representatives from over 80 countries noted the trade opportunities available during the latest Yalta Economic Forum. During the event, over $3 billion in trade agreements were signed.
A number of agreements were signed that, over the next few months, will be fully implemented. Intentions for future agreements also surpassed over 44 billion rubles. Meanwhile, 102 agreements were signed here, and they surpassed 215 billion rubles.
Today's debate was centered around economic sanctions across the world. In fact, we spoke about the 5th anniversary of the anti-Russian sanctions introduced following the annexation of Crimea.
A Syrian delegation held talks with the Russian hosts. Both parties hope to trade over 150,000 tons of products, ranging from construction materials to citrus fruits, by using the sea route linking the Crimean port to Syria's Latakia province.
We believe that these meetings are of utmost importance. They allow us to improve cooperation, to develop concrete plans of action. During the forum, countless meetings took place, so we are grateful for the many opportunities that have been established here.
The closing of the forum took place in the Levadia Palace. Here, over 3,000 participants widely rejected illegal and unjustifiable economic sanctions imposed by the US and the EU.
Do believe that one day the sanctions will be going away, because this is the only right way to go, in the way that everybody will be doing business and be very happy.
Despite sanctions, Crimea's relationship with various nations continues to develop. Among these are Syria, Abkhazia, and South Ossetia. The tradition of expanding links with sisterly nations continues.
The 5th Yalta Economic Forum occurred between April 18th and 20th in a peninsula that hopes for internal development and to expand its international relations.
A 220 million-year-old dinosaur cemetery has been discovered in Argentina. Paleontologists found a site known to scientists as Bone Bed that could shed light on an era experts know little about. The discovery is unusual due to the large number of carnivorous and herbivorous bones found in the area. Scientists say the site is a gold mine for studying and later exhibiting the animals so people can learn more about them. Like this, we've come to the end of this report, but you can find this and much more stories on our website, TelesurEnglish.net, where of course you can read opinion article, watch Telesur special interviews. Continue with Telesur, connecting the global south. Until next time, thank you for watching.